What's going on there, citizens of the Reject Nation? Greg here today. As all you guys are aware, there's been a writer strike going on, and as of last week, the SAG strike is now happening. There's some great videos that you guys can watch about it. I mean, I myself just did a podcast with Paul, Heavy Spoilers, our podcast across Spoilerverse, where we gave our very much impassioned discussion about the SAG strike. We are, of course, in support of the SAG strike. If you want to watch just like a great breakdown of it, the best one that I've seen, I would have to say, is Dan Murrell's video of really breaking down exactly what the SAG strike is completely all about. It's really well informed. It's an entertaining one as well. What I wanted to focus on today specifically is what influencers can and cannot do in regards to the SAG strike, of what would be deemed okay and acceptable and what would ultimately be a violation going against the SAG strike order. When you go online, you're going to see like a whole bunch of discourse about what is okay and what is not okay. Are people allowed to review Barbie and Oppenheimer? Can they do this? Can they do that? Like, what's all right? What isn't all right? And so what I've done, I spent a long time on this. I have cross-referenced with the SAG strike order that was sent out, the FAQ about influencers that was sent out, and then a little bit ago, Variety, they just published an article where they laid out even more rules. I made it even clearer of what you can and cannot do. And I also did speak with a publicist who's been really concerned about their clients. They wanted to understand a lot of the rules. And on top of that, too, I have been talking with people who are members of SAG who are also on press. There's just a lot of different notes and all compiled here. So this is the best that I could do. I just wanted to give a really straightforward kind of reference breakdown sheet for you all of everything I was able to gather between three categories here. The first category I'm going to talk about if you are a union influencer, if you are SAG and you are also an influencer, and also if you are a non-union influencer. And the third thing I want to talk about is with all this information of how the Real Rejects wishes to proceed moving forward. So with that in mind, if you guys can leave a like on this video, that'd be very much appreciated. I'm going to be incredibly direct with you all. I know normally I go off the dome, but I just kind of made a bunch of notes and I just wanted to make something that could be a solid reference for everyone because yes, this would be good if you are an influencer and you are concerned about this. Secondly, there's a lot of viewers out there who want to make sure that their influencers are, following the guidelines here. And I know some won't care at all, but for those who do care, this is for you. Lastly, at the same time, if I happen to get anything blatantly wrong, please do the YouTube thing. Be comment police, because some stuff is not entirely clear, and that's why Variety even had to put out that article where SAG had to elaborate even more, and there's some stuff that does require further elaboration. But based off my research, this is the best I could find. But like I said, if there's anything I get definitively no, that's completely wrong, I want you to correct me, and I want that comment to be highlighted. That way, people will see the right thing. Alrighty, so let's get to it. If you are an influencer, here's what you can do. You can do commercial work such as brand deals that align with Sag-Aftra rules. So essentially, you can work with brands you usually collaborate with as long as you follow the union's rules. However, if a brand deal involves a company currently on strike, contact influencer at sagaftra.org to make sure you're on the right track. Okay, and here's an important one as well, because if you happen to see an influencer promoting a product that is from one of these struck companies, one thing you want to make sure of, if it's something that is a concern of you, is did they get this deal before the strike officially happened? Because they can carry out existing contracts with struck companies, but they can't take on new ones. So basically, if you've agreed to promote a struck company before the strike began, stick to your word, but don't start new projects with these companies during the strike. Actually, we're in that boat right now. I just remembered is that we have 3 brand deals, I want to say, that we have already submitted for, that we've already got the edit done for them. Now it's just been like, okay, we're waiting for you to go, yep, post it. That was a couple weeks ago, and as many YouTubers will tell you, some brands, they take like 6 weeks to finally be like, all right, but we're already in contract with them. But during the strike, we've already told our brand manager that for the remainder of the strike while it's happening, to not accept anything that comes in from a studio. So want to hold me accountable, I believe it's 3 that we've got. You can keep creating and posting content as long as it's not about the work on strike. Continue sharing your usual content, just avoid discussing the companies or work on strike. All right, so here's what you can't do. Take on new jobs to promote struck companies. Simply put, avoid starting new collaborations that involve promoting content from companies currently on strike. What you'll discover here is most of this is going to boil down to just don't promote shit for them. I know that part gets a little bit like, wait, but what does that mean, promote? And it'll go into more details. You can't post about any work on strike, whether you're paid or not. This means avoiding the promotion of struck companies' content on your social platforms. You cannot participate in events like Comic-Con to promote struck companies or work. You can go to these events, but don't engage in promoting the struck work there. Real Rejects, we do have a Comic-Con panel coming up that we did agree to a long time ago. We got to do that, but it's not for like a studio or anything of that sort. Either way, well, it should just be business as usual. This part's the one that I see a lot of debate over. You cannot take part in activities like cosplay of characters from struck work. Basically, avoid promoting struck companies through your character portrayal. So, yeah, that kind of takes a lot of cosplay out the window at that point. From the sound of it, it sounds like if you are SAG, they really want you to not be doing cosplay. If you're non-union, that they're more like, sure, go ahead. But yeah, either way, I mean, I still think it's an interesting one to lay down. So then the big question that was asked here on the FAQ page was, how does this apply to me if I'm a non-union influencer? Any non-member seeking future membership in Sag-Aftra who performs covered work or services for a struck company during the strike will not be admitted into membership in Sag-Aftra. All right, so what does this mean exactly? First off, really, if you're not interested in any of the Sag-Aftra business and you are an influencer, you can really do whatever you want. It's your choice. So I'm speaking to those who are not union, who still care to not break violations, still want to make sure that they can one day be eligible to be SAG. And if you're not an influencer, I'm also speaking to those who care to see if the influencers they follow are following the rules laid out. A lot of it comes down to is if you want to make sure you can still be part of SAG in the future. But the thing that they specify that you cannot do is do covered work for a struck company if you're planning to join SAG-Aftra. Essentially, if you hope to join the union one day, avoid working with struck companies. So what does covered work entail? What does that actually mean, especially based off of their guidelines and without me just giving you essentially a whole bunch of exposition here? Mainly what it comes down to is avoid any and all promotional work when it comes to working with studios, which usually involves a financial transaction of some sort, an official agreement, whether that be, hey, you know, come attend this influencer event where we're going to give you free food and drinks, and all you got to do is post about our movie. Just some kind of mutual understanding that you are actively working to help promote the movie. And yes, of course, like don't act in anything, you know, like do the obvious stuff of not to do. Like don't do any of that stuff, like auditions for struck projects and all that. So yeah, don't do any of that. But in terms of the promotional work, that's the main thing you got to be concerned about, because here's where people were often getting confused on, but do reviews quantify as that? I'll go into that in just a tiny bit. So essentially, cover work, what it could be: promoting a struck company's content, attending events to promote a struck company like a movie premiere, participating in a campaign that indirectly promotes a struck company. And while they made it crystal clear on some things here, there is one statement that they did put out that I'm glad they did, because some stuff does perhaps require some more clarification. Because when asked what happens if I break the strike rules, the answer was, if you do it inadvertently, someone will probably tap you on the shoulder and remind you not to do it again. But the union absolutely has the power to enforce its strike rules. Penalties may include censure, reprimand, fine, suspension, and/or expulsion. If you are not a member and perform struck work, you will be barred from joining the union in the future. While that ends on a really dark note, originally it was sounding like if you do anything really wrong, you're going to be barred permanently. Bottom line is, a lot of us influencers, a lot of people are just trying their best right now. A lot of people who really do care about it are trying their best. And at the end of the day, if you do believe you are doing, what is within your right and is not a violation of the strike rules, I don't think you have to worry about, being banished to hell right away. Okay, now I'll talk about Real Rejects, because our channel essentially does the main variety of what other channels also do, even if it's not specifically hey, an Easter egg breakdown or whatever. It's still essentially in the similar categories. So, all right, a lot of people know, I'm not the biggest fan of the word influencer. I have nothing against influencers whatsoever. I'm one of them, but I just don't really like that word too much. But at the end of the day, I am that, and that's my category. Now, our other category is entertainment journalist. That's why we've been on press list for so many years. That's what we are qualified as on the press list. Sometimes there's an influencer press list, and then there's a entertainment journalist press list, and we're always on the entertainment journalist press list. Because at the end of the day, all of our content is created for purposes of commentary, analysis, and a review. So if you're one of those channels as well where your content is created for those purposes, then I feel like this will all be applicable for you. So when looking at the categories here, let's talk about movie reviews. So reviews, they serve as a journalistic role. The whole point is to provide impartial critique rather than promotion. Like the whole point is to offer analysis to help viewers, choose what to watch or encourage or discourage, however it may be. What's really essential, though, is that reviewers don't accept payment for positive reviews. I mean, I don't feel like you should ever do that just in general. Especially now, don't expect payment for positive reviews from struck companies, as this would completely enter that promotional territory. And the Variety article, they cleared this up like crystal. When asked, I'm a film critic, can I review movies? The answer was absolutely. Critics are not on strike and are not obligated to stop reviewing movies or TV shows. That clears that up. Followed up with, I'm an entertainment journalist. Can I cover movies and TV? Yes, entertainment journalists, whether they belong to a union or not, are not on strike. Even those broadcast journalists who are represented by Sag-Aftra are not affected, as the strike relates only to the TV theatrical contract. So there you have it. Reviews are okay. There was a question in there that was starting to confuse some people. That was about influencers. Can influencers promote a movie? Again, that question was about, can influencers promote category of covered services or covered work, which obviously that right there, that's the big no-no. When researching into movie news, reporting movie news should be acceptable because the whole point is it aims to inform the public, right? Not to promote struck companies. So again, impartial news coverage that doesn't favor struck companies doesn't violate strike rules. All right, trailer reactions and reviews. These are usually seen as commentary or critique that generally falls under fair use laws. That's why whatever them music companies are always fighting with on those trailers are always doing. Like the whole point is to help encourage or help viewers to understand what to expect from a film or a show, and they don't inherently promote struck companies. So that should be okay. Movie and TV show reactions. So if you're doing episode reactions or a movie reaction, of course, this is all like really much, edited, cut up. That always leads into a full-on review. The main purpose of a reaction video is for entertainment, commentary, to spur a conversation about the content, and of course, the movie and TV show are always to support the other half of the video. Review, the analysis section. As long as these reactions aren't endorsing or promoting a struck company, they're generally acceptable. And then from everything I can see and read up on, as what's been laid out here in the Variety article, and knowing that there are SAG members in the press who have been going to press screenings, you are an entertainment journalist. You can still review movies, cover movies, and attend press screenings. Initially, I was like, I feel like we're not supposed to. I don't know. Like I was on the fence about Oppenheimer, for example, but from the updates and from talking with other people who are actually SAG, seems like that's actually okay. Because even in a strike situation, your attendance at a press screening doesn't equate to promoting the struck company or its product. The whole point is to be there as an impartial observer, delivering information, analysis, or critique, the usual, to the public. And it's crucial to maintain this distance and objectivity. I think even if there's not a strike, that's crucial to avoid any appearance of endorsement or promotion. Because a strike, what it mostly targets is promotional work typically covered under SAG-Aftra. So from what I can see, and this is like, more than just like conversations. It has been a lot of research. From what I can see, we can proceed as normal. We just, we can't do any promotional things. We can't be like, hey, we want to use your footage that we saw you do of something and use it in our advertisement. We can't agree to any of that. We can't do anything like, hey, we want to send you this Spider-Man hat, but at the end of the day, that's going to get approved from Disney. Like, can't do that. So, there's a whole bunch of things that basically boil down to just don't do promotional work for them. And obviously don't do any gigs or auditions or anything that relate to participating in one of the struck company's movies or whatever. So of course we are maintaining an awareness, and we do care to be supportive because frankly, the fact of how the AMPTP is treating our writers and actors is total bullshit. Deep dive a lot into it on that podcast I did with Paul. It's not what this video is about, but yeah, if you want to hear more about my opinions on that, please go ahead and check that out. End of the day, I firmly believe that what they're fighting for is exactly what they should be fighting for. So if we do anything that truly steps out of bounds, we'll do our best to correct it. Anyway, hope this information helps. You just let me know if it does. Leave your thoughts down below on how you've been feeling about the SAG strike and all that. Other than that, I'll talk with you guys soon. Thank you so much for being here.